Welcome to episode number 2 of Worst to Best for Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, the series where I rank each weapon class from worst to best and touch on the strengths and weaknesses of each weapon in the game after I achieve Diamond Camo on a weapon class, which means I'll have tons of experience and know the ins and outs of each weapon and can recommend some of the best weapons and weapons to avoid if you're just getting into the game or haven't touched a weapon class yet. This episode is all about the submachine guns. There are now 6 SMGs in Cold War with the addition of the MAC-10, but for this video we're only ranking the 5 that were available at launch. But don't worry, I will be covering the MAC-10 and I'll be sharing more on that at the end of this video. Hey, what's up? My name's Sinister Skater. Welcome to the channel. As always, you are encouraged to leave your own best to worst or worst to best list down below in the comments, especially if you disagree with what I'm about to present to you, because it's always fun to go down there and compare and thumbs up the list that people agree with. And if you enjoy the video, don't forget to hit like, consider subscribing for more Cold War content, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the upcoming worst to best. To begin, the worst SMG out of them all, in my opinion, is the KSP-45. Honestly, I didn't know where to place this weapon. I still don't know where to really place this weapon. This is like the wild card SMG. It has one of the fastest time to kills in the game on paper, and you can shred people with it and have great games with it. But on the flip side, it can also be super frustrating to use, and I can do absolutely horrible with it. You're either going to love or hate the KSP-45, and I decided to place it at worst because to me it is a very inconsistent weapon to use, and more often I find that with the other SMGs I'm just performing better overall. Now the KSP again is a powerful SMG. It can kill in 3 shots, which means it can kill in 1 burst, which means it's coming in at a 166 millisecond time to kill, which is insane. It naturally has a low vertical recoil, which makes it easy to use at range. You know, you're getting like 2-3 burst kills at range, but the problems with this weapon is that its horizontal recoil is hard to predict, and you'll often miss a shot in a burst, and when you miss a shot you increase your time to kill significantly because this weapon is a burst weapon and it has a very slow burst delay. I often find myself getting gunned down in between bursts a lot with this gun. This also has the slowest bullet velocity out of the SMGs in this game, so I think the bullet velocity boosting barrel attachment is almost mandatory, and it just becomes exponentially harder to use the further out that your enemy is. One last thing I want to mention about the KSP is that apparently it has average hipfire, but I swear this has a tighter hipfire than the other SMGs. It's really good weapon to be hipfiring, and I'm wondering if it will be a replacement for the MW3P90 that had like one of the best hipfires of all time. I don't have time to get hipfire gameplay and test it out while making this video, but I definitely will be trying that out later and let you guys know about that. But KSP-45, high skill weapon that gives you a high reward, but I just think it's not the easiest weapon. It's by far the most inconsistent weapon, which is the reason why we have it at worst. Moving on to number 4, we have the Milano 821, which is a solid submachine gun. It has a slow fire rate, but nonetheless has a decent close range time to kill that will fall off fairly quickly and becomes less impressive the further you get out. But it's a consistent weapon. It's also very easy to use, and it's very easy to do well with. This is why I think a lot of people like the Milano. It has a low fire rate, which means missing a shot will significantly increase your time to kill, but the recoil is easy to manage and it's easy to stay on target with, so you won't be missing shots much in the first place. It also has the fastest base reload out of all the SMGs going for. It has slightly faster aim down sight speed, but it has a slightly slower bullet velocity than a majority of the other SMGs. But again, it's such a smooth weapon. The shots are so easy to hit, even at longer ranges. It has like the slowest time to kill out of all the SMGs at the longest range, I believe, but it's still an easy gun to use. It doesn't excel in any area, but I'll say it once again, it's an easy SMG, it's reliable. It's a solid choice at number 4. At number 3, the third best SMG, we have the Bullfrog. Now, the Bullfrog is an interesting weapon. It's the only SMG with an extended range profile. Its first damage range profile is up to 19 meters, which means you have a 300 millisecond time to kill up to 19 meters. The other SMGs have their first range profile up to about like 10 meters, give or take a few meters, and the other SMGs will also have a faster time to kill and will outgun the Bullfrog within that like 10 meter range. But when we get beyond 10 meters, the Bullfrog is outgunning every other SMG in its class until you get to those furthest range profiles. It is a mid-range monster. Another benefit of the extended range profile is that it's a very consistent feeling SMG because it'll be taking the same shots to kill from like close to medium range, which is going to be a majority of your gunfights. The Bullfrog does have some recoil. It climbs towards the upper right at a steady pace. It's pretty easy to control. Its 50 round mag is another benefit. It has a slower reload speed, but 50 is plenty to work with in Cold War. And if we just disregard the stats and go off feeling, the Bullfrog feels great. It feels like a fast killing damage hose. The only downside to it, other than having a slower time to kill overall, is that its base hipfire is pretty bad, but I like to embrace that and use attachments that will improve handling speeds and further neuter my hipfire since it's already off to a bad start. Overall, Bullfrog is a solid weapon, definitely deserves its spot over the Milano and the KSP-45. The second best submachine gun at number 2 here is the MP5. This, along with the SMG at number 1, are better than the 3 that we've gone over so far. The MP5 just has a faster time to kill all around. The Bullfrog averages at 300 milliseconds, Milano 286 milliseconds. The MP5 averages at 263 milliseconds. And the MP5 fully embraces like your classic SMG playstyle where you get up close on people and it just completely melts people. Close quarters combat is going to be your optimal combat range. It has some recoil. It'll pull up aggressively and to the right, which makes it harder to use the further your enemies out away from you. But again, close quarters combat is optimal, so you just want to run up in people's face and just melt people. It's a nice balanced SMG, and it was regarded as the best SMG, but its recoil makes it harder to use. It has a slightly slower aim down sight speed. It's like 1 or 2 frames than the others at 60 frames per second. It also has a slightly slower reload speed, which is odd because with those in mind, there's no argument as to what the best SMG is in the game. The best SMG at number 1 here is the AK-74U. And the AK-74U shares a very similar story to the AK-47 for the assault rifles. The AK-74U has the fastest time to kill between the SMGs at all ranges, with the exception of the KSP-45, of course, but that's weird. It takes 237 milliseconds to kill at close range and up to 387 milliseconds at the maximum range. This thing absolutely shreds enemies. It has some recoil, but it's easy to manage with the slower fire rate and of course if you put some attachments on it. But the key feature to the AK-74U is that its base bullet velocity is 500, which is double every other SMG that we've talked about in this video. The bullet velocity for the AK-74U is very close to the assault rifle's base bullet velocity, and when you throw on the 100% barrel boosting attachment, the AK-74U becomes very viable at long ranges. And it's a fast killing weapon at the longest ranges on top of the close ranges. All around, this thing is fantastic. You also get 32 rounds in the magazine on the AK, which is 2 extra bullets than a majority of the other SMGs, as a decent reload speed. The only real downside is that its aim down sight speed is 300 milliseconds, which is 25 milliseconds slower than most of the other SMGs. But that's a little price to pay for all the benefits that the AK-74U offers. Hands down, best SMG in Black Ops Cold War. If you haven't used it, definitely go ahead and give it a try. Now some of you be like, well, Mac 10's in the game now, maybe that's the best. I'll just give you a little hint right here. I still think the AK-74U is better than the Mac 10. But as I mentioned in the very beginning of this video, Mac 10, I'm currently working on getting Diamond Camo on it, and I'll have a video coming out within 2 or 3 days after this best to worst goes out, just going over the Mac 10 specifically, and I'll be giving it a rank among all the other SMGs in that video. So check the description if you're interested in that video. I will post it there as soon as it gets uploaded. Don't forget to leave your own best to worst list if you disagree with mine down below in the comments. If you're looking for something else to watch and are having a hard time getting diamond on the SMGs yourself, let me point you to my point blank tips video that'll help you progress through that camo category faster. Don't forget to leave a like if you guys enjoyed the video or learned something new. Consider subscribing, turning on that bell notification, and as always, there are links down below in the description to check out if you'd like to help support the channel. Thanks for watching. My name's Sinister Skater, and I'll catch y'all on the next video. Peace out.